Good morning and welcome to NCBA Money Mastery, where we teach you how to make your money work for you. My name is Willy Mahumu, and here at NCBA we are excited about numbers because the numbers that matter to you always matter to us. And talking about numbers that should matter to you, here are some numbers you may want to consider if you're thinking about starting a business. Did you know that small businesses contribute up to 40% of Kenya's GDP? Did you know that 46% of small businesses close down within 5 years of establishment? And finally, 500 shillings is all you need to open a Go Banking current account. Now, the effects of the pandemic have taught many of us the need to consider having multiple streams of income. Starting a business gives you one of those opportunities to be able to have a way to increase your income. In today's show, we are going to share with you tips and tricks on how you can manage your finances well as you start and grow your business. We have partnered with the leading wealth creation education company, Centonomy, and with us on the show today is the head of learning and innovation, Ms. Sheba Njagi. Sheba, I'm excited to have you on the show. Welcome to Money Mastery.
Thank you so much, Willie. I'm also super excited about our conversation today. And as we always say at Centonomy, our business is education. We are on a mission to make sure that everybody who is willing, who is committed, who is able to create wealth. And today I'm happy we'll be talking about how to make sure that if you're starting a business, what are some of the key things you need to make sure you do to make sure the business succeeds. And I'm really excited about our chat today, Willie.
Thank you, Sheba. And once again, we are happy to have you on the show. So let's start by simply defining who is an entrepreneur.
Willie, an entrepreneur is someone who enjoys problems, but enjoys problems in a nice way. I like to define an entrepreneur as someone who identifies a gap, who identifies an opportunity, or who spots a problem and is able to say, I think I have an idea of how I can be able to fill up or take advantage of that opportunity positively, or even solve that problem with a major goal to serve the customers properly. An entrepreneur really is also someone who is ready to take on risk. This is someone who already knows that it's possible that I'm going to have to apply myself. This business can take off anytime. It can just give it a good shot, all right? So you see, setting up a business as an entrepreneur requires you to be in the right state of mind. It requires you to understand what problems your customers are actually undergoing. You can now give them the right goods and services, And it's not just about products and services, really. It's also about making sure that you set up the right procedures, the right processes in your business so that it can function well, and most importantly, even function when you're not there. That's the goal of an entrepreneur. So I can tell you, an entrepreneurship is not a career. It's not just a trend. It's not a job. It's actually a lifestyle choice, really.
The way you have said an entrepreneur is someone who enjoys problems. That's an interesting one. And I know you've had entrepreneurship, or I'm an entrepreneur, this person is an entrepreneur. The word has been thrown around so many times, and it has become so common in our society today. And I'm wondering, from your perspective, what does it really mean to be your own boss?
To be your own boss is not, as simple as saying, I will not have anyone giving me commands. I will not be following anyone's rules and regulations. It's not about that, really. For me, it's really about being a leader, being able to actually lead yourself and lead yourself well. Being able to apply the right mindset, the right spirit, so that your business is able to do well. And so when you are your own boss, it means you are embracing what we usually call at Centonomy the entrepreneur spirit, the entrepreneur's mindset. And there are a couple of characteristics that entrepreneurs need to have. These are like must-haves, really, so they're able to turn their ideas into reality. And some of these characteristics include, an entrepreneur needs to have determination, that no matter the tides, even if things are difficult or things don't work out the way you want them to work out, you are able to say, you know what, I'll try it again and I'll give it my best shot. You just don't give up immediately. An entrepreneur needs to be they need to be very clear on what they are working towards. They need to be so clear for them so they're able to do what they need to do in a very focused way. And being your own boss business, really, it means you need to have the drive, the inner drive to be able to be disciplined enough to do what. When you're your own boss, it doesn't mean you will wake up anytime. In fact, you find yourself asking yourself, how can I make sure I study properly? Sometimes you find some entrepreneurs waking up early, some of them looking for special times for them to be able to do things better. So you have to have that drive. You have to be someone who knows how to make decisions. You can't just be someone who experiences analysis by paralysis. Like, people are always asking you, so what do we do, boss? What can we do? Your suppliers are asking you, tulete ama tusilete, should we deliver or not? And then you're not even able to make a decision. So a decisive person can be a good entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is really about independence. You need to be able to do your own work. Many times, especially when you're starting out, Willy, you will have to be everything. You're the tea person, you're the camera person, you're the social media guru, you're the person who is actually implementing everything that needs to be done. And it needs you to be very organized and also independent. You also need to be someone who is genuine with your customers, with your suppliers. Please don't take people for a ride. If you know you're not able, it's okay. You're not God. So it's also good for you to have the mindset and the spirit to be very honest with people around you. An entrepreneur also has a characteristic of being eager to learn. What do I mean? Just because you are a pro in your area does not mean that you cannot expand your knowledge. Just because I'm a good coach, I'm a good trainer, does not mean that I know everything. It also means, and it's encouraging to start thinking about, is there something else I need to learn about? Can I also learn how to improve marketing or do marketing? How else can I dig deeper into my knowledge so that I can be more knowledgeable in my craft and also in business? So this person needs to be very eager to learn, also very flexible. Flexibility is very important for entrepreneurs. You remember when I mentioned the word determination? Sometimes you will start a business today, maybe selling shoes. You're importing shoes. I remember one of our entrepreneurs, alumni from Centonomy, and she was just giving us an example of how when she started her business, she thought that the best way to run that business is to import clothes from the UK and then sell them online. But do you know, as she was in the business, her clients told her, you can't give us even better clothes, even made in Kenya. And right now, she actually has her own brand, she never imports things anymore. So you can see it's still the same industry, but she was flexible enough to start implementing. And also it shows this is a creative person. And really, these are some of the key characteristics entrepreneurs need to have so they can excel in their businesses.
That is very insightful, Sheba. And you and I know that in today's society, a lot of people are employed. I am employed, for instance. And my next question is, can I, as an employee working in my job, develop that boss-like mindset?
Oh, yeah. And I'm also employed, and I am a proud entrepreneur at Centonomy. What that really means is I am a boss in the job that I have been hired in. I am applying all these mindsets, all these characteristics that we have talked about in my role. I make sure I'm determined. I make sure I'm focused. I make sure I'm delivering on what I need, and I give it the best shot. Remember what I said? An entrepreneur is someone who identifies problems and then says, this is how I can solve them. So even you, Willy, and anyone else watching, not every entrepreneur runs their own business. There are very many entrepreneurs who can also make sure other people's businesses excel by making sure they apply the right behavior and attitudes in their job. So yes, you can be an entrepreneur in your own job, and that means being able to own that role, being able to love that business as much as you would love own. So yes, you can do very well even in your own job. It will make sure you are promoted, you even grow. So there are also very many opportunities for you to grow as an entrepreneur in someone else's business.
So say I have now the right mindset. I have that mindset of an entrepreneur. I think like a boss. I manage my funds well. I'm outgoing. I look for solutions to the problems that are there within the society. And, I go that extra mile to ensure my customers are happy. I have that mindset. If I'm working, I have the mindset of a boss in managing the area that I've been given responsibility on. So let's say the mindset bit is in check. So the next thing is, now that you have the mindset, often many people get stuck on making that first step. The first step is often the most difficult to take. So for someone with limited funds, how can they make that first step and get started on a business?
You don't always need a lot of money to start a business and get it running. Of course, this may sound like a very crazy point when I share it, but in fact, the best way is to start small. And then you start small with what you have and keep growing what you have. Because you know what, Willy, when you keep saying, I'm waiting for the day I have a lot of money so that I can turn my ideas into a good business, you will wait for a very long time. Sometimes, let me give an example. Someone who likes selling gadgets, you like electronics, you like cameras, you like phones, like laptops. You just generally have a desire for making sure people have the right electronics to support them in their life. And so you've been dreaming about being able to have a shop that you can sell these things. You don't need to wait until you have 500,000, 1 million, 50,000 for you to get started. You can even start with one thing. And that's what we usually call a Centonomy entrepreneur, asking yourself as a business owner, what's my minimum viable product? What's my minimum viable service? This is where you're asking yourself, how can I start with what I have? Yes, I know I want one day to have an electronic shops and be as big as, whatever electronic shops that exist. But can I start by selling one or two or three items? Yes, you can be able to start with that. So it's now about you thinking, where can I get my money or money to be able to start with these two items? It may need you to borrow from your savings. It may need you to save a little bit, and it may need you to start thinking differently. And then another thing, you don't need the money for you to go and get rent for that shop. No, you can start asking yourself, how can I promote these electronics in a different kind of way before I get a shop and start paying rent? Can I put my products up on a website, third-party websites like Sky Garden or Jumia? Can I sell them on a Facebook market group? Can I use my WhatsApp group or my WhatsApp business to sell these things? Always ask yourself, what can I do with what you have? And here are a few ideas on how you can get started with limited funds. Number one, ask yourself what you can start with that is almost for free. For example, I like giving an example of I run a coaching business. And as a coach, I have very big dreams about my business, really. I found myself thinking, I need money for a great website, I need money for this, for that, for. And one of the key things I've asked myself, what do I have that I can start with? Can I do barter trade with someone who has skills that I need? I give them skills that they need from me, and then we can start from there. And then maybe I grow my business one day to a way I can I can do so much more. Number two, friends, family, and foods. Ask your friends and family for extra cash, but just don't go for them like a harambe or for them to see you as a charity case. It's important for you to pitch to them, like the way we see on Dragon's Den or Shark Tank. Tell them, this is my proposal. This is what I'm seeing. If I start like this is what I'm able to do. This is how much money I'll be able to bring back, and some of them will be willing to support you. Number three, other places you can look for money. Research on small business grants and funding opportunities that are available. There are so many opportunities that could be available for youth, for women, for you. So it's up to you to go and start looking. Are there certain grants available for you as a photographer or for you as an exporter or importer that you can apply for? And finally, apply for a bank loan where possible and when you're ready. Speak to your bank, see if there are any facilities that are available for you, and start from the bottom and grow. So don't wait, don't delay, start with what you have. I know I've talked a lot, Willy.
No, you're actually okay. And these are very good ideas that you've shared. You've actually mentioned also something very important when you said if you're going to family, because oftentimes that's where you have to start when you're looking for money and you want to start a business. You find yourself approaching family. But I like the twist that you've given it in saying that don't approach as a charity case. Go there with a plan, show them how they're going to get their money back. And I'm sure many people will be willing to take a risk with your idea. So Sheba, now let's say you have the money. You've given us options on how someone can get the money. So someone has the money, they're willing to start. What are the key tips that they need to do in order to manage these finances well?
The reason why I want to share these tips that I'm about to share right now is because I have been in this space as an entrepreneur and even as a trainer and coach for entrepreneurs, whereby business people come to me and say, Sheba, I am running a business and I feel like money is just going through my hands or money is just going through my accounts. I am not able to enjoy the money that my business is earning. And so that is why it's so important to learn how to manage your finances. And I'm going to share with you 3 things that entrepreneurs need to master. And this is for someone who is thinking about starting a business. This is for someone who has just started a business. And even, by the way, really, this is also good for someone who's run their business for a long time. Number 1, separate your business funds from your personal funds. We'll talk about that. Number 2, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Number 3, plan for a rainy day, plan for a rainy month, plan for a rainy year.
Okay, thank you, Sheba. And could you tell us a little bit more about these 3 points?
I was hoping you'd say that. And so let me start with point number 1, separating business from personal funds. Let me give an example of John, who recently started a milk distribution business. So what John does is he's been able to identify some Maasais in his area who usually produce a lot of milk from their livestock. And so he has agreed with them to come up with a plan. He'll be getting milk from them. He has gone around different estates and found clients for the milk. And he's selling a liter at 80 shillings. Good, because he's buying a liter at 40. That's a good thing. That's a good profit of about 40 shillings. And so he's gone all around every morning. Clients have already booked whatever number of liters they need for their house, and he's happily supplying it to them. But he comes back and says, I am not happy because I can't see where my business money is. And when I have a conversation with him, when I had a conversation with him, what I realized was, Willy, all his money was mixed up in one account. So his business, his milk money is coming into his personal account. In fact, paying via M-Pesa, for example, it's going to his M-Pesa account, it's also going to his business account. He's also doing his other things, the same personal account. So he's really not able to account how much money is my own money and how much money has come from my business. and it's totally confusing. You see, this same personal account, he has to pay rent, he has to pay his bills, he has to buy more milk with it, and it's really confusing. So what I'm trying to say is, it's important. It doesn't matter what level you are, even when you're starting, even before you start, you can open an account and say, this is my business account and this is my personal account. Your banks can support you to do that. What will this help with? It will give your business more credibility. Like for one, he'll have his my Maziwa business account, and as the business continues to grow, the business has its voice now, and it's able to even speak to the business bankers in a different way. It also gives the business a sense of legitimacy. Number two, when you have two separate accounts for your personal stuff and also for your business stuff, it helps to reduce your personal risk in case something negative happens down the road in your business. And number three, it really helps you to get organized when it comes to paying taxes, because in Kenya and across the world as well, you have to pay taxes for individual and also for business. So it brings a sense of organization and also a sense of structure. So you need to separate your business funds from your personal funds.
That is so true, Sheba, and I'm happy that you started with that as the first point, because here at NCBA, that's all we envision. That's all we want to do for our business customers. That's all we want to do for the entrepreneurs who come to us, who want to bank with us. We often give them a business account, the option to open a business account, and also the option to open a personal account, because we realize that helps you in, first and foremost, also just reconciling your funds. Secondly, you're able to easily tell the financial health of your business. Are you making a profit? It's easy to tell it when they are separate. And then finally, just for example purposes, let's say you're running a company called, and we are doing money mastery. So for example purposes, let's call the company Helatupu Enterprises. It's important for you to have a Helatupu account that is separate from your own individual and personal account. Then what you can do is you can be paying yourself from the Helatupu account directly to your personal account, and the funds in your personal account now you allocate to your individual needs. But it helps you separate your business activities, business funds, business needs, and from your personal needs. So Sheba, back to you. You mentioned 3 key tips. And the second tip I think you mentioned was the need for entrepreneurs not to put all their eggs in one basket. Can you expound on that, please?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. What do I mean by don't put all your eggs in one basket? I mean, don't purely and only invest in just this one business. Okay? Even if it's a business you love, you want to grow, you're so passionate about, I want you to remember that you are an investor in this business. So even for you as an individual, this business is actually an investment tool. And as we've said in all the money mastery sessions we've had, as an investor, when you wear your kofia investor, when you wear the hat of an investor, you have to think about the realities of risk and return. Where does a business fall? The business as an investment tool actually falls in the category we call capital growth. This is where you're investing in a business, but you have to have a long-term outlook. So it means it can give you high risk, high return. So what it means is, as an investor, you need to diversify. Don't only invest in the business. So that when business is slow, you also have other that are supporting you, that can pick you up. Let me give an example. If someone started an Airbnb business, Airbnb has been a new recent business that we've been seeing in our country of late. If someone started an Airbnb business in 2019, right? And then they put all that money in that investment, then they must have really suffered in 2020 when the COVID-19 struck, especially because it really affected the hospitality industry. So if that investor had only thought about that one thing, it's really threw them in a in a fate or in deep trouble. So what is important is, as you're investing in your business, consider other streams of income, consider other investment options that are available in the market. Consider investment options for a rainy day. For example, make sure you have a good emergency fund ready for you. You can open a fixed deposit account, you can open a money market, the various accounts we have in the bank. Start thinking about investing even in fixed income investments. I know we talked about it in our Money Mastery session with Alice, where I was telling people, think about things like government bonds. Think one day getting into real estate. And that's what I mean by don't just invest in one thing, so that when one thing is down, the other thing that you have or that you've invested in can support you. So that's what I meant, put all your eggs in one basket as an entrepreneur.
Sheba, you've shared some really smart ideas and tips. I know we may need a bit of time to just process it also. I'd like us to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be first and foremost looking at what ideas do you have for entrepreneurs who'd like to prepare for a rainy day. Secondly, we'll also inform our viewers today who are business owners and business starters and entrepreneurs on what's in store for them through the NCBA product portfolio. And finally, we will look at your questions. We'd like to hear what you think about today's topic, so please send your questions on the comment section. Please stay tuned in. We will be back with you shortly.
At NCBA, we can tailor make your SME business solution to suit your business. It's what we have done for over 50,000 businesses so far.
50,000? Mommy, that is 50,000 families with 50,000 meals every day and 50,000 dreams coming to life.
We know that it's not about the business, but about caring for loved ones. Get NCBA SME Banking Solutions. The name is NCBA, and the numbers that matter to you matter to us. NCBA Bank. Go for it.
Welcome back to NCBA Money Mastery from the bank that says go for it. We have been speaking to Ms. Sheba Njagi, Head of Learning and Innovation at Centonomy, our knowledge partners on the topic entrepreneurship tips for startups. And basically, she's been telling us or giving us ideas on how entrepreneurs can develop more mastery of their money. And before we went for the break, Sheba talked about fixed deposits, savings, money market, and I'm happy to inform you that at NCBA, these are all solutions that we offer to you to help insulate yourself and insulate your business against rainy days. And speaking about rainy days, Sheba, I believe COVID is one of those real examples of rainy days. What are your thoughts?
Oh, yes, we saw how so many businesses were affected, and many businesses, or if not all, are still experiencing those effects until today. And that's why I insist, even as you plan to start a business, even as you run, remember yourself, right? And why I'm saying this is the reality on the ground is that very many entrepreneurs have to deal with the reality of irregular income. This month, you may make good money. Next month, you barely make a sale. The other month, you make a little bit more. Sometimes the truth is that's the reality. And we have to deal with that. And that's why it's important for you to have and manage your personal finances properly. Manage them well, understand how much your monthly budget is, so that you can make sure you have savings that you can draw from, you can withdraw from in the tougher months, in the leaner months. You need to look at, when I look at my budget, what are the key essentials? What are the key essential expenses? Is it housing expenses? Food? Is it, school fees if you have children or you're taking care of your own children? Is it utilities like water or electricity? And make sure you have that clear figure. So let's say, for example, you do this budget and you realize, for real, whether my business does well or not, I must have 30,000 or 20,000 every month. Let's say, for example, you realize it's 30,000. Whether the business does well or not, you need to have that money. I would encourage you to start putting an emergency fund. You can have a minimum of 3 to 6 months worth of your monthly budget. So if, let's say, your monthly budget is 30,000 bob, you can make sure you start saving emergency of at least 90,000 to about 180,000 bob, so that in case the business is not doing well, you won't be left, looking for food or struggling or borrowing unnecessary loans just to survive. So as an entrepreneur, please think about that. Put aside some money to cover you. You may not be able to create this account and fund it immediately, and that's why I'm saying pole pole, haba na haba ujaza kibaba. So you can say, this month I'm going to put 1,000, I'll push myself until it grows, and that is going to really, really support you. And I believe even our banks have different accounts we can put this money in, Willy.
Very well said, Sheba. And there's actually something you mentioned earlier which really hit me when you said, rainy days are here to stay with us. It might not be COVID necessarily, but the next day something else will come. And therefore, as a business person, as an individual anyways, you may need to make preparations for those rainy days. So I really like what you're saying. So it's time for us to go to the questions, and I can see quite a number have been loading. So Sheba, allow me to go straight into today's questions. The first question is from Dev, who's watching from YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. And the question is, how do you handle trusting new people to do your work? How do you handle trusting new people to do your work? Anything you look for in a person when looking for someone to work with? So I think she's talking about hiring. So she's asking anything you look for in a person when looking for someone to work with.
Wow, I like that question because it's falling under the topic of building the right processes and building the right structures in your business. Of course, we live in an interesting world where you may not know whether someone is trustworthy or whether someone is going to do what they say they would until they actually come on board. But yes, there are certain things you can do to make sure at least you have set up that foundation right. You know what? The very first step to being able to make the right hires is to understand what work is this person coming to do, or really ask yourself what work needs to be done. Because many entrepreneurs make a mistake of just saying, I think in this business, we need someone for social media, we need an accountant, we need ABCD. But as we say, focus on being role-based. Role-based means ask yourself what work needs to be done. Then you may realize in this business, I need someone who is able to work on administration, maybe do the accounting, do invoicing properly, do quotations and things like that. And you write them down properly so that now when you put up this application or this vacancy, you can even start by asking within your networks, hey, I'm looking for someone who is able to do these things. Do you know someone in your network who is able to do this particular role? And another thing I would also advise someone like Camille, it's good for you to also use the various resources that are available to you as an entrepreneur to shop for the right person. For example, you can now, let's say whatever business that you run, set it up, put that opportunity on a place like LinkedIn, tell people where to apply, and then now make sure you have also the right people to support you in the interview session. One of the key things I've learned in business is just because you're founder of your business doesn't mean you know everything. It doesn't mean you're a HR guru. So sometimes it's good you find out in your networks. Do you know someone who did HR or does HR who can support you? Maybe you don't need to pay a lot of money. Maybe you can just talk to them and say, this is my first hire. I have never hired before, but this is what I want. Can you support me in interviewing this person? So this is one of the ways you can actually start recruiting the people, know what their role is, putting it up, this vacancy in the right platforms so that you can also almost funnel the right people or qualified people. Also seek help from people who are qualified enough to kind of have these conversations you can even do as possible. Number 4, be a start to help this person to understand what your expectation of them is. Because sometimes as business owners, we think people know the work we want them to do. You have to communicate clearly. These are my expectations of you. This is how I expect you to work in this business. No lying, no stealing, whatever your expectations are, help this person to understand them. And finally, have a simple plan to review performance. Tell this person, in this business, how I plan to do. We will be catching up every month to review your process, your performance. So these are some of the ways you can put, some structures you can put in your business to support you to build the right team. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not. That's why you have to be very flexible, because sometimes people lie and they may not serve you properly, really. That's what I would recommend.
Okay, some great remarks there, Sheba. On to our next question. This is from Jeff and Evans, who are watching this show from YouTube. So Jeff and Evans, thank you for your contribution. And the question is, what are some legal tips you can give to an entrepreneur? What are some legal tips you can give to an entrepreneur starting out? Sometimes we get confused or frustrated by e-citizen and other government registration processes. Do you have a legal cheat sheet that entrepreneurs can use to make sure they get everything right? That's a long question, so let me just repeat it, Sheba, for you. What are some of the legal tips you can give to an entrepreneur starting out? Sometimes we get confused or frustrated by e-citizen and other government registration processes. Do you have a legal cheat sheet that entrepreneurs can use to make sure they get everything right?
Very good question. And I like that Jeff and Evans are thinking about setting up the business properly. In fact, we say in entrepreneurship, don't start a business without setting it up legally, and because it will support you as you continue growing. And many clients that you will be serving will want proof that you are actually a legal business. So when you are starting out when you want to start a new business, there are key simple things. I know you've said confused, frustrated, but to be honest, the process has been made quite simple, really. Things have changed. It's not like the way it used to be before. Number 1, you need a business name. As in, it's as simple as that. Once you've identified the kind of business you want to run, once you kind of problem you want to solve, now it's time for you to start the process of registration. And it starts by as simple as identifying an ideal business name. eCitizen is a good website that has really supported very many business owners who are starting out. Of course, for you to be able to search for the right business name, you have to go onto the platform, as opposed to before, where you had to go to the county council. So you have to come up with about 3 or so names. It's good to have even a longer list, and then you upload them. You'll pay a small fee for them to be able to now on their end check which name is available. Once that is done, it's now possible for you to apply for business registration certificate, which is the whole document to help you run a business in this country. Even before you register it as a limited liability, basic way is to have that business registration certificate, and that you can also get on this website. And it's so easy because you go to eCitizen, you put in your details, you're able to go to the section of business registration, and you do the process. You pay via M-Pesa, and then within a couple of days, you will have your certificate. By that time, as it is, it means you can literally start trading with that certificate. You can take that certificate, go to the bank, and do what we said, literally open a business account at the bank. So you go and do that, and you can get started. But there is something else we recommend at Centonomy. We have a whole legal class where we talk about all things legal for a whole 3 hours. We say, when you are ready to go into this journey of entrepreneurship, it's very good for you to register this business as a limited liability corporation. And the main reason of doing this is for it to support you in the future, to protect you when it comes to legal matters. Why? You see, when you are just a sole proprietor, you know that one for business registration certificate only, if there are future issues, legal issues, they will come to you as an individual. But at least the setup, the entity of a limited liability company protects you as a director and any other director in the future. At least the legal framework really supports you on that end. However, it requires you, for you to be able to register a limited liability company, it now requires you to get the services of a legal professional. Now, there are so many lawyers who can support you in registering your business as a limited liability company. It's not as expensive as well as it used to do before. So you need to do a bit of research in your networks and find out, is there a lawyer in my life, someone we went to school with, that I know or someone else knows that journey, because they will need to prepare documents called memorandum of articles. They will need to do a couple of documentation, and it's very important it's done by a qualified lawyer so that they set you up correctly. So that's what I would say. To be honest, Willy, e-citizen is not complicated. It's sometimes, if your attitude believes it's complicated, then it will be complicated, really. But it has made things quite easy.
All right. Our next question is from Patrick Mukanda, who's watching us from YouTube. Thank you, Patrick. And Patrick is asking, having talked of Airbnb, kindly comment on how to create a value chain in real estate for a landlord. Having talked of Airbnb, kindly comment on how to create a value chain in real estate for a landlord.
Great. I think this is I'll answer it shortly and simply by saying, the market, it's good for you as a landlord to ask yourself where your property is situated today. What are your customers demanding for when it comes to real estate, when it comes to property matters? What do they need space for? Because when you go to certain areas now, because of development, infrastructure development and things like that, the demand for property may have changed. There are certain people now, what they need is simple commercial space. That's why we've been seeing container shops being set up. That's why we've been seeing even some interesting informal homes being set up. So what you need to do as a landlord, so that you can know what to do with your property and how to commercialize it in the best way, is to do some research in your area and find out what do your customers need so that you can adjust accordingly.
All right, Sheba, we've also been joined on the show today by Patricia, who's watching from Facebook. So Patricia, thank you. Hello there. And the question from Patricia is, what are some naive mistakes startups make that a young entrepreneur should avoid? What are some naive mistakes startups make that a young entrepreneur should avoid?
Wow, thinking that you cannot do it on your own. So making sure, finding yourself in a situation where you're looking for partners immediately, you're looking for people to work with immediately or to partner in your business. So you start selling your shares, if I could use that word, very early in the business. That's one of the mistakes people usually do. Number two, naive mistake some startup business owners usually make include providing goods and services that the entrepreneur wants as opposed to what the customer wants. So it's like you buy shoes or sell shoes because you love shoes. It's good for you to find out what do the customers want, yeah? So you don't do your own thing. Number three, let me use the word eating or consuming all your business income and not investing a simple or small percentage back in your business. So you find yourself in a cycle. That's another mistake that people do. And finally, borrowing unnecessarily or not borrowing wisely. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and she was telling me she runs a chicken farm. So she's been rearing chicken, but guess what? Funding that business with mobile money loans. Now, Willy, don't shoot me. But the challenge is that is a very expensive loan. What I was telling her is if she does her mathematics, she will find that she's barely able to break even because she's paying so much interest. So she's not borrowed wisely. So those are some of the mistakes that some business startups do, and they need to consider as they go by.
Sheba, it's a good thing they took my rifle when I was coming in. But anyway, to our next question, and this is from Nina, who's watching from YouTube. Nina, thank you for your contribution. And Nina is asking, what advice would you give someone who has failed in their business before? What advice would you give someone who has failed in their business before and is unsure what to do next?
This one I will answer with my own experience. I have failed in my business before. And in the beginning, I used to be ashamed because I was very emotionally connected to my business, but now I am not. It's good for you to just also just understand that seasons come and go. So it's possible for your business to do well and then it falls apart. So once your business has fallen apart, it's good for you to do a bit of, what can I say, reviewing. Sit down with a notebook and a tree, whichever way you'd like, and ask yourself, what did I learn from this experience? What was good? What was not good? Because you will realize it wasn't about you, Nina. It was about the business. It's the activities or the processes that were done or not done. So sit down and review what worked and what did not work. And if you're not sure what to indulge in next or what kind of business to do next, it's also okay. Maybe what this time is calling you to do is to do a bit of research and observe the environment. And remember, an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur because they've seen a problem. So maybe the next thing for you to do after you've discovered what happened is to go now and start shopping for problems that you are qualified to fulfill, and then start again. No giving up. That is the kind of spirit.
All right, Sheba, let's look at the next question. And this one is from John Mark from Utawala. John Mark says, I just completed my high school and I'm waiting to go to college. How can I start a business with no experience?
Oh, that's a very good question. The best way to start getting experience as a young person is by contributing your time and contributing your energy to maybe a business that you are interested in. So you may not really know what sort of business you may want to work in for the rest of your life, or you may want to run for the rest of your life. But what you can do is identify, is there a shop that you're interested in, a business, and you can go and propose to them to come and do volunteering or be an intern there so that you can learn. Because as an apprentice, you'll be able to see how business runs, see some of the mistakes, see some of the good things that they do, and then you slowly start building up your experience. So before you even go and start doing something you don't know how to, get some do some internship work.
All right. Okay, and on to our last question, which is from Clifford. So our last question is from Clifford, and Clifford is asking, how does NCBA support young entrepreneurs? Sheba, I'll be able to take this one. And Clifford, that's a good question. And one of the ways is through shows like this. The reason why we have a show like this is because we want you to learn from the best in the business. That's also why we have Centonomy. And we want you to get the information necessary for you to succeed in business. Many times, people who get into business, it's more about trial and error. But when Centonomy is here, and I encourage you to watch all the shows that we've had. This is the 5th episode, but even from the previous ones, there's a lot you can learn to get you started as an entrepreneur, as someone who wants to get into business. Secondly, we also talked about this earlier on in the show, and we mentioned about having separate accounts. Your money needs safekeeping. And that's why NCBA is also there. We want you to, when you're coming with your funds, you want a business account, you want a personal account, you want there to be a connection between the two in terms of transferring money from one to the other. That's what, as a bank, we are here to do. And therefore, please, these are solutions or products that I would encourage you to consider. And lastly, all our business customers are assigned to relationship managers. The reason why we do that is we understand every business is unique. Every business has its own unique needs. And also, the way you're structured as a business may differ from one business to the other. Now, when you get in touch with these relationship managers who are situated at the branch, they'll be able to guide you on what products that we offer as an organization that can directly benefit your business, that can directly make an impact to your business and enable you reach those specific goals that you've set for yourself or set for your company. So please, I encourage you once more, walk into our branches, interact with these people. We are here just to serve you. It's the only job that we're here to do. So please take advantage of that. And then finally, Sheba talked about Centonomy offering courses. And I encourage you also, because there's a discount that we've negotiated with Centonomy, please take advantage of these classes. Go to the courses, learn, get the information, and you'll be able to start on the best and right path for the success of your business. So Sheba, that was our last question. Before we wind up, any final remarks you have for our audience, please?
Final remarks is, if you're ready to get started with your own business, start from where you are at. Don't limit yourself with these obstacles of, I don't have too much money. Ask yourself, with the little I have, what can I do? And if I don't have at all, who can I talk to? My friends, my family, my bank. Just speak to them and see what opportunities are available for you. Remember to separate business from personal funds. Don't invest only in your business. Also look for other options as well, and always prepare for the emergencies that are surely going to come.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sheba. It was wonderful having you on the show today. To our dear viewers, it was also good having you on the show. Thank you for tuning in. I always say we are not complete up here unless you're in the mix. So thank you for making time. Unfortunately, that's all the time we had on this episode of Money Mastery, powered by Centonomy. To learn more about our products and services, please visit our website at ncbagroup.com. I repeat, ncbagroup.com. You can also call the numbers on your screen. Let us hear your voice. Let us have a discussion. We are happy to be of service to you. And finally, like, follow, and subscribe to our social media handles. I've been your host, Willy Mahumu, and until next time, when we look at another set of numbers that matter to you, stay safe, goodbye, and have an excellent day.